Now, this number is already absurd, but it's even more impressive when you consider these three things. Number one, again, Pete was playing without a three-point line. For his career, he averaged about 17.
Hold on, we are searching up the stat right now. There's no way that he has the most NCAA career points of all time without a three-point line. Nah. This video has been hyped up by a lot of people. I'm not gonna put all the comments under this video on the screen, but Pistol Pete. Maybe I just did. But one of the best point guards, I guess, slept on. I've never reacted to him like that. We have 7 stories that prove Pete Maravich was not human. So we are going to react to some not human-esque highlights and stories. We're about to find out. If he was really like that. Like, comment, subscribe. The link for the Discord is in the description now. It is officially live. Go ahead and click the link. We're going to be talking about all types of hot takes on all sports. The GOAT. LeBron's the GOAT in my opinion. So if you don't disagree with me, go talk to me in my Discord and I'll explain why. And yeah, this video should be one of those ones. So let's get right into it. I'm not going to waste too much time.
Today we are going to pay tribute to one of the greatest basketball players of all time, Pete Maravich. I'm going to share with you some stories about his unbelievable work ethic, his legendary scoring ability, his prediction of his own death, and we're going to talk...
We just started the 15 seconds. 15 seconds and he predicted his own death. All right.
Legendary
let's see what
scoring
this is.
ability, his prediction of his own death, and we're going to talk about the lasting impact he's had on the game. So how are you guys doing? My name is Mike, and before we take a journey into Pete Maravich's childhood, a time period that saw him work harder at the game of basketball than anyone I've ever heard of. Before we remember Pete's record-breaking years at LSU, before we remember his brief stardom in the NBA, before we remember the floppy socks, we first need to look at the greatest tragedy of the basketball career of Pistol Pete, and that was the man was just born into the wrong era. Number 7, a man before his time. From his early childhood up until his last seasons as a pro, Pete Maravich played the game of basketball without a three-point line and without a hand check rule. Now, I'm going to go more into depth as to what that meant for his stats as we get later into this video, but let's just talk about what this meant for his career in general. When you watch highlights of Pistol Pete, when you hear stories of his play, you quickly realize that the man was before his time. He would consistently pull up from as deep as 30 feet out, even though his bombs would only count for 2 points, because that's how incredible his range and shooting ability were. And so if his opponents were forced to guard him from 30 feet and in, if they were not allowed to control him with a hand check, well, he would have been virtually unstoppable. Drop Pete in the modern NBA and you suddenly have a man who has the potential to be a cross between Steph Curry and Steve Nash. That's how good both his jump shot...
Steph Curry and Steve Nash. That sounds like the perfect point guard, bro. There's no way this man was perfect.
And court vision work. That's how deadly of a scorer and playmaker he was. And on top of all of this, the man had perhaps more imagination and creativity than any player who has ever stepped foot on a basketball court. So as we continue to talk about the legend that was Pistol Pete Maravich, just remember, for as good as he was, he could have been even better. Number 6. A basketball android. Yes, looking back at his childhood, Pete Maravich described his kid self as a basketball android. This was a very accurate self-assessment as his a basketball
through his legs. Yeah, okay.
Android. This was a very accurate self-assessment as his earliest memories are of his dad, Press, basically forcing a love of the game into his soul. Now, Press was a former professional basketball player who was never a star. This haunted him and he vowed that his son would become a greater player than he himself had ever been. And
every sports like incorporated dad wants that for their son.
So when Pete was a kid, Press would often send him inside and shoot around on a basketball hoop outside of their house. Pete would watch from the window as his dad shot baskets for hours and made it seem like the most fun thing anyone has ever done.
They got
Press
footage of
his
this?
fist after long jump
Or is
shots,
this not
yell in
him?
celebration after performing tricky dribble moves. Pump his fist after long jump shots, the most fun thing anyone has ever done. Press would pump his fist after long jump shots, yell in celebration after performing tricky dribble moves, and most importantly, he didn't let Pete join in. And so Pete grew jealous, and when he thought his dad wasn't looking, he would run outside and steal some alone time dribbling and trying to shoot baskets himself. That's when Press knew he had Pete hooked, but he wasn't done yet, because as Pete began to get older, he also began to excel at baseball and football. Ooh. So within a span of a few months, Press brought Pete out to catch fly balls on a particularly sunny day and didn't stop until Pete missed a ball and it hit him in the face. At that moment, Press convinced a crying Pete that baseball wasn't for him. And as for the football problem, well, Press went even further. He actually told Pete's 8th grade coach to put then quarterback Pete into danger as much as possible.
All right, maybe I said W dad too quickly. What?
And after Pete got wrecked time and time again on the field, he decided to stick with basketball.
He purposely tried to kill his son. Wow, I mean, that's hard. That's just harsh discipline, I guess.
So yeah, Press Maravich was basically a psychopath. Sure, he was a loving father who wanted the best for his son, but the way
put your son. He went to the coach and said, put my son in the way of danger. Yeah, no, bro. No, he had me hooked when he said in the beginning when he forced it, but nah.
He forced Pete to play basketball was kind of questionable. But personally, I don't hold anything against Press because Pete doesn't hold anything against Press. That's because Pete knew his dad was right. He should stick to basketball. Number 5, the greatest work ethic of all time. The way people talk about him now, it seems like Pete Maravich began to dribble a basketball the second he came out the womb. He dribbled as he walked to school. He would dribble in movie theaters. He would lie
in movie theaters
across the back seat and dribble the ball outside of a car door while his dad drove him around town. And while his dribbling practice methods were already the stories of legends, that's not all Pete was practicing. His work ethic can only be described as relentless, as on school days.
Oh my, look, that seems like something that would be in the league today.
Practicing.
This man hit him with a Hakeem Olajuwon with a Kobe fade at the end of it.
Described as
hit him with a fake. On
school days.
Fake. That's a tough fade.
As many as 8 hours a day, getting in shots before school, then working on dribbling drills and one-on-one moves after it. And yeah, he all but ignored his homework, and when teachers called home, Press told them to mind their own business because to him, basketball was way more important. And
see, I wish I could tell my college teachers that I could. Nah, I'm joking. But nah, this man really told his teachers that
Since school days were filled with basketball, it should come as no surprise that summer days were even more intense. Every day of the summer, Pete would wake up at 6 a.m., practice by himself at the local basketball court until other people showed up, play pickup games all day, then shoot free throws by himself when everyone else had left. This incredible work ethic produced unreal results, and by the time he was in 8th grade, he was already playing on his town's varsity team. It was then that he was given the nickname Pistol after dropping 33 points on a division rival, despite the fact that at the time he stood at just 5'6" and weighed around 85 pounds.
I'm pausing it too much, but at 5'6", what were you doing with your life? Me personally, I was not dropping 33 points on the varsity high school team. Yeah, nah, bro.
But of course, eventually Pete would begin to grow. And as he grew in height, his legend grew right along with him. His high school career saw him dazzle fans with his incredible no-look passes, his unbelievable court vision, and his unlimited shooting range. No one had ever seen a basketball player like Pistol Pete. And by the time he was a senior, he had grown to stand at 6'5" and was now almost unguardable. High school physical competition became too easy, and soon Pete found himself scrimmaging against and dominating his father's teams at NC State, routinely lighting up starters on a team that would finish 20-4 in the ACC. From there, Pete played 1 season at prep school, then committed to play for his dad at LSU, where he became number 4, the greatest college scorer we've ever seen.
These stats. Okay, so he's the greatest work ethic of all time. Of all time? I guess we'll see. The greatest college scorer. Larry Bird did average 30.30. What Larry average? Like 40 points in college?
Let it be known that Pete Maravich is the greatest scorer in college basketball history, and no one else is even close. While at LSU, Pete set and still holds the record for points in an NCAA career with 3,667. Now, this number is already absurd, but it's even more impressive when you consider these 3 things. Number 1, again, Pete was playing without a three-point line. For his career, he averaged about 17.
Hold on, we are searching up the stat right now, bro. There's no way that he has the most NCAA career points of all time without a three-point line. No. I'll get back to y'all when I finish searching this up. 3,667 without a three-point. No. How long was he in college, bro? How long was? Wait. It doesn't say how long he was in college for, but if he was in college for 4 years or for 3 years and put up that without a three-point, yeah, that's.
Made field goals a game. When comparing
that
him
is
to
inhumane
Steph Curry,
stats.
again a player who played just like Pete, Steph averaged 8.4 made field goals a game in his college career, and
only half.
And of those 8.4 shots made, 4 were three-pointers. So if we're being cautious and say that Pete would have averaged 5 made threes a game for his LSU career, then that means he would have added an extra 415 points to his career point total. Number 2, when Pete played college basketball, there was no shot clock. Obviously, the addition of a shot clock would have meant more possessions and thus more shots for Pete. Number 3, Pete Maravich only played college basketball.
Keep playing the video
for 3 seasons. Pistol Pete holds the record for points in a college basketball career, and he was only allowed to play in 3 seasons because at the time, freshmen were not allowed to play college basketball. Yeah, this rule was ridiculous, and yeah, the fact that he only played in 3 seasons makes Pete's record.
He still has the most. He played without 3 seasons. He played without a shot clock, so that means you can literally waste the time as much as you want to. You don't have to shoot. And there was not a three-point.
Even more
that's been the most ridiculous stat said thus far. So okay,
ridiculous.
He's moving closer
Maravich
to inhumane.
A seemingly unrealistic 44.2 points per game.
I gotta stop pausing the video.
He was a 3-time first-team All-American, 2-time National Player of the Year, and the most famous college basketball player the world has ever seen. As in his time at LSU, Pete became a national sensation. His signature haircut and floppy sock combo was now recreated by kids and high school players across the country. The LSU Tigers began to draw record-setting crowds, a fact that was remarkable in SEC football territory. Local reporters who had never been to a basketball game before were now following LSU across the country. Opposing fans would carry Pete on their shoulders after games. Pete's socks even began to be routinely stolen from the LSU locker room. The only knock on Pete during this time was that his team never reached the NCAA tournament, but that was hardly his fault. The year before Pete joined the LSU varsity team, the Tigers went an awe-inspiring 3-20, and by the time he left, the program was in a way different place. Now they were a national name. They reached the Final Four of the NIT, and as for Pete, well, now it was finally time for the Pistol to bring his talents to the bright lights of the NBA. Number 3, 68 points. Throughout his NBA career, Pete averaged 24.2 points, 5.4 assists, and 4.2 rebounds.
Not bad.
He is one of only 6 players in NBA history to ever average 24 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds.
Oh, his career total. I was about to say, like their highest, that's not the highest, but to average, there's only Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Oscar, Jerry West, You're telling me Russ doesn't have this? Maybe he doesn't have 34 points.
Rebounds for his career. He is also the only player on that list to never win an NBA championship, which was disappointing. And as a whole, Pete's career can't exactly be called disappointing, but just like in high school and college, the individual stats and awards were always there. Pete played in the NBA for 9 seasons without any major injury concerns. Then 2 seasons after injury concerns took place. In those 9 injury-free seasons, Maravich was a 5-time All-Star, was twice a member of the second team All-NBA and twice a member of the first team All-NBA. His most dominant year was in 1977, where he put up a league-high 31.1 points to go along with 5.4 assists and 5.1 rebounds a night. He scored 50 points or more 4 times in 77, and against the Knicks, Pete went off for 68 points before fouling out after 2 questionable offensive fouls in the closing minutes of the game. But with all of this said, the 1977 Jazz did not even make the playoffs. And an even bigger problem was this wasn't a surprise, as in his 9 healthy years, Pete never played on a team that reached even the conference finals, and after 3 straight playoff years to begin his career, his final 6 healthy years saw him play on losing teams. And of course, while some are going to say that this was because he was a ball hog, because he was a showman, because he was whatever, think about this. For much of Pete's career, the NBA only had 17 or 18 teams. In that time, for whatever reason, the league would routinely have as many as 28 or 30 All-Stars in a single year. Now, in Pete Maravich's 9 healthy seasons, 231 total All-Stars were chosen, which was almost 26 a season. Of those 231 players, a grand total of 10 played on teams that Pete played on, which meant about 1 All-Star out of 26 each year was either Pete himself or his teammate. Going even further, Pete only played with 2 other All-Stars in those entire 9 seasons.
These stats are sounding a lot like LeBron-like stats.
So yeah, while the media may have gotten on his back at this time, I don't really know what they wanted Pete to do. The man just never played with any real talent. Give him an all-star level big man and everything changes.
Give LeBron a little. I'm not gonna say it. This isn't about LeBron. This is about Pete.
But if you're still not convinced that Pete was one of the all-time greats, then just listen to what his peers had to say about him. Number 2, the ultimate respect of his peers. To really understand just how good Pete Maravich was, I'm going to present you with some quotes from 6 players who are in the Hall of Fame and 1 player who soon will be. He was way before his time. I don't know if you'll ever see a ball handler like him ever. Dominique Wilkins. Anytime they talk about today's players and how good they are, I say, you haven't seen Pete Maravich. Calvin Murphy. I learned a long time ago that you take something from greatness and add it to your game. Pete showed me how to score, how to put the ball in the hole. George Gervin. He was the greatest ball handler I've ever seen in my life. He could do things with the ball that were unbelievable. Rick Barry. Oscar was the best guard I've ever played against. Jerry West was the best I've ever played with. And Pete is the best I've ever seen. Elgin Baylor. Like a master chess player, he saw things that nobody else did. Bill Walton. We're all doing things he did first. Steve Nash. And while I hope these quotes have helped to give you an idea of what Pete Maravich meant to the game of basketball, let's end on this one quote. I don't want to play 10 years in the NBA and then die of a heart attack at the age of 40. That quote was from a 26-year-old Pete Maravich, and number 8.
Wait.
I don't want to play 10 years in the NBA and then die of a heart attack at the age of 40. That quote was from a 26-year-old Pete Maravich, and number 1 predicted his own death. In his last
as cool as this, not even cool. Rest in peace, Pete Maravich. As interesting as him predicting his own death is, it has nothing to do with him hooping. It has nothing to do with him hooping.
Last season as a professional basketball player, Pete rode the bench for a Boston Celtics team that would lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. At this point, his body had betrayed him, and the fire for basketball that had once consumed his soul had been extinguished. And so, at the young age of 32, Pete Maravich retired and asked himself, what's next? Basketball had been his entire life, and now there was an emptiness in his heart that he found almost impossible to fill. The years following his retirement were filled with dark moments. He began to drink, he prepared for the apocalypse, his family and friends became more and more worried. And I could go into more detail about those times, but I'd just rather not. Instead, let's talk about the years leading up to his death. The years that saw things turn around for Pete.
That's a deep one.
The years leading up to his death. The years that saw things turn around.
He started walking away after
he shot it. He found true meaning in life away from basketball. He became a better family man, a reformed alcoholic, and a born-again Christian. It was this Pete, a happy Pete, that took the court to film a quick segment of pickup basketball for a Christian radio show. In this pickup game, Pete felt real joy on the court for the first time in a long time, telling those around him, "I feel great." It was then that he collapsed, moments later dead at the age of 40. In a bizarre twist, he had predicted his own death, as he indeed had died of heart failure due to an undiagnosed heart condition. And with the passing of Pete Maravich, the country saw itself lose one of its biggest basketball icons. Across the United States, newspapers such as the New York Post would go on to devote their entire back pages to Pete. And Post writer Peter Vesey put it best, writing, "The pistol dies playing the game he loved." So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed looking at the life of Pistol Pete Maravich. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for
to this channel. Ha! Wow, okay. It seems like he was the first. I don't know. There's a lot of firsts. But if we're talking like skill-based players, we can't say Wilt. Wilt just did hooks all the time, you know. We're talking about skill-based players. I guess he was the first. Leave in the comments if he's better than Steph Curry or not. I mean, I wasn't alive for that moment. I can go off these 7 stories, but, you know, it's obviously... I'm not going to say it's biased. Mike is a good guy, but... yeah, that was a very interesting video. If there's any more videos of Pistol Pete that are more informative, you know, let me know. This was up there. I mean, I guess he wasn't human if he predicted his own at 26. Okay, well, I mean, people say things all the time, but, you know, it's rare that they actually happen. Like, comment, subscribe. Remember, the Discord link is in the description right now. Y'all can go click that, and we can talk about more hooping. So, I'll see you on the next video.
I'm just talking on this beat, like it's just you and just me. We can say the side of the beat.